Can you hypnotize someone without their knowledge, without their awareness? Can you control their minds? What can you do and what can't you do with hypnosis? Often what's called covert hypnosis. We got Mike Mandel, our wizard from the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy, to answer that question today.
Well, yes, covert hypnosis is real. But let's clarify what we're talking about. When we say covert hypnosis, we only mean hypnosis when you're not telling the person you're doing hypnosis.
Right.
So my own protocols like mindscaping are covert hypnosis. They're a way of using hypnosis without declaring it to anyone.
Yeah, in fact, covert hypnosis would be even if you said, hey, do you want to experience something kind of cool? I learned this neat thing. Close your eyes and imagine, and I start having them imagine things. Well, guess what? If I have them focusing their attention and evoking emotions without saying the word hypnosis, that's covert hypnosis too. But that obviously doesn't mean I can control their minds or make them do things or have them reveal secrets or anything like that.
Of course not.
But influence is happening all around us. Stories are happening all around us. We'll watch a movie. Does a movie say, warning, this movie is hypnotic?
Hypnotize you. You'll get emotionally involved.
Right.
But you're nailing the point, Chris, because it's happening all the time. We must understand the ubiquitousness of hypnosis. It is everywhere. You watch a movie, you react emotionally, you know, whether it's whatever, in some romantic comedy or a war movie, you're reacting emotionally, you're being drawn in. And the proof of this, I used to say when I did a lot of corporate events, corporate keynotes, if you don't think that your television is hypnotizing you, think of the last movie you saw and imagine it, think of it. And I guarantee you do not think of the wallpaper, the rubber plant, the stairwell, the dog lying. You're only thinking of the content of the screen.
Oh, good point. That's that reticule.
Yeah,
that your mind is zoned in on the thing. Another good example, just speaking of movies or whatever, think about like documentaries that you might watch on Netflix. How many times has somebody maybe watched, and again, this is not to guide you towards believing one thing or another, but let's say there's a documentary about eating a vegan diet and how healthy that is. Whether or not the content is accurate scientifically or inaccurate, doesn't matter.
Good disclaimer here.
Yeah,
good.
Doesn't matter whether it's accurate.
Right.
But you'll see, because there was one, I think, I can't remember what it was called, but people will refer to it and be like, oh yeah, did you watch this documentary? If you spend 90 minutes or whatever it is watching this documentary, again, whether it be totally valid or whether it be pure propaganda, it won't matter. You're zoned in on the emotions that are being fed to you through the story, the narrative, the problem that someone had, that they changed this diet, they overcame this problem, and then you starting to say to yourself like, yeah, you know, I'm going to do that, I'm going to eat this way. That's hypnotic.
Of course it is. And you know, it's, remember, we're going into trance without our knowledge all the time. No one comes up and says, okay, you're going to go into a trance, but you're not going to notice it. No, it's just happening. And when we tell a good story, a metaphor, we do that intentionally as hypnotists to cause personal change and transformation, because they're getting caught up in the story, which has the elements of transformation built into it. So that's hypnotic too. So yeah, can you be hypnotized covertly? Yeah, not only can you, it's happening all the time. And if you're considering what I'm saying to any degree, chances are extremely high it's happening now.
Yes, it is. Okay, so let's go through just a couple of things that people might keep in mind in terms of ways that you can ramp up your level of covert hypnosis skills. So let's start with, for example, why don't we start off some basic Ericksonian language? And we're not going to teach it to you, but just the idea that general Ericksonian language, the concept of pacing and leading, can do a good job. So just saying something like, and as you're listening to the sound of my voice and watching this video, you might consider how much you want to learn about hypnosis. And I can use things like embedded commands there. Let's talk about that quick.
All right. Well, we can learn the words, the types of words, the type of language that will cause people to change their attention to somewhere else, move their attention. And we are directing what they're focusing on. And so as soon as we say something like, and you can notice that unusual sensation in your body that you didn't notice until now. Well, right away, go and check. And of course, you're going to find it because your brain will create it.
There's always going to be some sort of unusual feeling, or that where do you notice that you've got a slight itch developing now? Now, you wouldn't do that to someone just right out of the blue necessarily. But once you have a bit of momentum going with yes sets and compliance sets, you can say those kinds of things, and it will trigger their internal search, and they will find that, oh yeah, there is a little, oh, it's right here. Oh yeah,
you're making me itch.
What about metaphor? Stories.
Stories contain the components for trance. In order to tell a good story, we learn how to engage the other person's emotion. We learn how to engage their curiosity, and they follow the story as it unfolds and begin to live it as though it's real. And that's why you can tell a metaphor to 10 different people, and based on their own personal experience, life experience, whatever, their beliefs, they will then experience it in a different way, a slightly different way. So the bottom line is, it is happening all the time. Whether you know it or not, covert hypnosis is happening. But are you going to be able to just talk to someone like we see on YouTube videos, and all of a sudden they're standing on their head on the subway?
Yeah, this is exactly. So. Yeah, exactly. Now, just to maybe wrap up the video with this point, I think this will be a useful point. It's useful to learn these tools of covert hypnosis and regular hypnosis, direct hypnosis or conversational hypnosis. It's worth repeating that the field of conversational hypnosis can be covert. So if you're having a conversation and you're guiding someone to feel emotions and think certain actions or believe certain things, that would be covert. But you could also do conversational hypnosis in the context of, hey, Mike, can you help me overcome such and such a problem? In fact, Timothy September, our head of coaching, he's got his enter the loop method.
Right.
Which is, of course, now it can be overt. It can be, hey, let me help you with that. Let's talk about it and enter the loop.
Yeah.
Or it can be done conversationally where you've never disclosed that you're going to be unpacking someone's metaphor and doing all this stuff.
Because I've seen Timothy do this, which is very clever. He'll say to the person, they'll be talking about something, and the person will stare and stop, and he'll say, where did you just go? And he'll notice the naturally occurring trances and start to unpack
It's
them.
like a little crowbar into the naturally occurring trance that's already happening, and then just opening that door wider, and then they create this feedback loop.
Yes.
And anyway, so all of this to say, the tools of covert hypnosis, the tools of conversational hypnosis, the only differentiation is, are you disclosing we're doing hypnosis now? That's the only difference.
Do you tell them? That's
right.
it. And of course, our friend and colleague as a trainer, Igor Ledochovsky, does great work in conversational hypnosis. He really has sort of cornered the market on that. I recommend you look into his stuff.
Okay, so I think that's a good point to wrap up. We'll mention here, if you would like to learn more about this, head to MikeMandelHypnosis.com. You can check out our academy. You can get started for basically nothing, and you'll see if this is the kind of stuff you want to learn more of.
And who wouldn't?
Yeah, of course. There you go. So with that, we'll wrap up this video, and we'll say thanks again and good night.